So today we're going to talk about what is the responsibility of the unconscious mind and what is the model in which therapy is derived from. And this is my cat Eddie, so he's demanding attention, so let's just move on with it. So the unconscious mind has 21 key roles. Sure, it's up for debate whether it has more or less, but let's just go with the 21 basics. So the first one is it stores memories. The unconscious mind keeps track of all of your experiences, every single thing. It's constantly recording where and when things happen. And even if you're not actively thinking about those particular things, it's constantly protecting us, upgrading us, and telling us, you know what, based on previous experience, this has happened, blah, blah, blah. It also organizes those memories. Now, sometimes it doesn't do it real well when it comes to the amygdala, and the hippocampus, but you know what? It doesn't just collect the memories. It's got to constantly sort them. It's got to store them in different ways. It'll help you recall them and what's important when you need it. This is why sometimes we can have these dreams and sensations where you think, oh, why did that happen? Or what triggered me to feel like this? And sometimes your happy memories are mixed up with your negative ones and vice versa. And this is where NLP and hypnosis work beautifully together to sort out all of those memories back into their files that are going to work best for you. Repressed memories with unresolved negative emotions. If something was too painful or overwhelming at the time, your unconscious mind may hide the memory to protect you until you're ready to process it. And that's why you can come across somebody who's just living their everyday life and then all of a sudden, boom, something hits them. Or sometimes you receive information and you're fine with it, but then a couple of days or a couple of hours later, you're a blubbering mess. It's about having that time to process it. One thing that therapists do struggle with is when they take a client through a NLP or a hypnosis process is if that person tends to process just a little bit slower, they're not getting that instant reaction and then they think, oh, did it work or are you okay? And it's only because that person needs some processing time. There's nothing wrong with that. The unconscious mind also presents repressed memories for resolution. So when you're ready, emotionally or mentally, your mind is presenting these things to you because it's like you're ready. You've got the resources. You've just got to step up. And trust me, there are times where I think I do not need to deal with this. I've got other things I'd rather be doing, etc., etc. But then I also have to go, you know what? You're doing one of those 21 key things that you're supposed to do, and you're telling me I'm ready. Right, what resources do I need to tap into to ensure that I'm successful with making sure this works properly? So the unconscious may bring those hidden memories back so you can finally deal with them and heal them, and it may even bring them back just to teach you something that you need to know in order to level up in this particular situation. It keeps repressed emotions for protection. It just wants to protect us. That's all it is. That's why something that can be negative towards us can feel like it has a stronghold or we're with that ball and chain as such. And that's because it's using those emotions to protect us to ensure that we survive. Sometimes we can't face a strong connection straight away, and the unconscious mind holds on to the safety until we're ready to release and feel it, or we feel like we're in that safe place where we can release and feel it. It is the main domain for the emotions. Every single emotion is stored in there. It doesn't matter what it is, and it's handled unconsciously. You don't choose when or how to feel them. They just show up based on your internal program. So remember, you're the only one inside here, so be nice. It runs the bodies based on DNA and its blueprints. We do have a hypnosis session that is called Hypnotic Blueprint, and it helps you rejig those blueprints as such. So your breathing, your healing, your digestion, your unconscious mind manages all of this without even having to think about it. It's so automated, it's fantastic. It follows your body's natural design. And that's why some people are really good at, say, playing an instrument, and other people can struggle. That's based on your blueprints and inside your DNA. But the blueprints, we can actually start to just tweak a little to help us reprogram that so that we can be a little bit better. It preserves the body to maintain integrity. At the end of the day, it's just about preserving yourself and protecting yourself. Your unconscious mind is wired to keep you safe and alive. That is number one priority. It triggers automatic responses like pulling away from pain to protect you. It's only when you super duper concentrate that you're like, no, leave my arm there whilst this is happening. So when it comes to preserving the body, it doesn't care whether this is a negative or a positive thing. So for example, you may have the desire to eat junk food or to smoke cigarettes. All it's doing is I need to preserve this body in order to feel relaxed. And even though you may be having an anxiety attack of some sort, smoking may calm you down. So we must preserve you in order to keep you relaxed. It doesn't care at the end of the day whether it's going to create long-term illness. All it cares about is how do we maintain and preserve the body right here, right now, in this space and time. It is also highly moral with values and ethics. There are some things, honestly, it shits me to tears, some of the morals that I have. And I think to myself, you know what, if I could just learn the art of lying, then perhaps less people would get their feelings hurt. Or perhaps if I could just go, you know what, I'm going to take that offer because it pays more rather than being true to the first person that I said yes to, then my life would probably be a little bit easier. But when you have that unconscious side of you that holds all of those morals so highly, those values ethically, it holds on to as inside the core what you believe is right or wrong and guides your behavior according to those inner rules. Yes, we can change those inner rules, absolutely, but something major usually has to happen in order for us to do that. And that's why sometimes you're like, you know what, why did I do that? Seriously, why can't I stop? And that's because the morals and values and ethics right inside of you bring up these emotions and then tell you, this is not you, this is not your identity, and this is not the identity you wish to portray. It also enjoys serving but needs clear instructions. The unconscious loves to help, but it doesn't read between the lines. It needs specifics. So for example, children are the perfect place for this. So you may say to a child, what would you like to eat? And they will say food. That's your fault. You asked that ambiguous question that left it wide open. So it needs specific instructions, where if you ask a child, would you like to eat chicken or beef, then they'll usually make a decision. It responds best when you're direct and specific about what you want. And that's why goal creation is so perfect for our mind, and specific names like labeling, for example. This is a pen. These are scissors. Whether you agree with it or not doesn't matter. The unconscious mind needs clear instructions so that it knows exactly what things are when it's required. It controls, maintains, and transmits all perceptions to the conscious mind. So it's going to start back here first, and then it comes to the front of the mind as such. Everything you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell is first filtered through the unconscious before you become aware of it. Now, if we want to go into more other realms of what's controlled and maintained, we can talk about auras and energies, downloading messages, but that's a discussion for another different training. It transmits energies. So it does transmit those energies, both physical and emotion. It can take something from here and then force you to run because it's transmitted that energy from your mind to your body and then created that action. It is managed and moved around by your unconscious, and it can affect your motivation, your moods, and your health. It also maintains instincts and generates habits. Good or bad, doesn't matter. Instincts like hunger or fear, anything that's deeply rooted in here, the unconscious builds all of these habits with repetition, whether or not it's helpful. So for example, the smoking. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And when you stop doing that hand to mouth action or those actions, the brain's like, hang on, we were doing this in order to relax and now you've stopped doing it and we've got to do something else. So let's say, for example, you pick up a drink bottle and you start using that same action and you're drinking the water. It's like, oh yeah, this is the same action. This is the same habit, even though it's a little bit different. It installs habits when repetition occurs. So do something enough times and you'll be the master at it, whether it's good or bad for you. So keep on doing, learning and changing, tweaking the systems. It seeks more continually. Now, some people will be a bit contentious towards this, but the unconscious is always looking for more, whether it wants to understand more, connect more, talk more, fulfill more, something new, a different flavor, a different situation, a new jacket. It doesn't matter. It's always continuously looking for something different. And this is where the movie and the music and the gaming industry are always on par with this, because it's like, hey, let's just keep on creating something new. And that's why sometimes you'll get a little bit bored with something. You're like, this is getting a bit humdrum. And that's because it's become so automatic that it's no longer sparking your curiosity. So do something a little bit different, and then you can always come back to it. It functions as an integrated and whole unit. So it doesn't just go on its own. It doesn't just wake up one day and goes, you know what, I'm going to make you feel like shit. It does it as a whole unit. It works together as a team. So whether you, with your emotions, your instincts, your memories, your body, it's connected with you completely as a whole support system. It responds, uses, and interprets symbols. So the unconscious doesn't speak in words. Oh my gosh, how much easier would it be if it did? But what it does, it makes you feel something. Or you'll notice an image of some sort, a number, a symbol, a metaphor, exactly the way in which dreams can create creative work. It takes everything personally. It doesn't separate fact from fiction very well, and if you say, I'm stupid, it believes it. Even if you're joking, it doesn't understand your tone, etc. Tone is for the external world. Inside of our mind, it's not understanding that, so we need to start going, is that really what we want? It works on the principle of least effort or the easiest path. That's why they're always going to be inventing something new, a simpler system, an easier way. An AI, a robot that does that for you so that you can do something else. It always looks for the easiest, most efficient way. We all know we shouldn't be carrying our groceries all in one trip, but we do it anyway, unless there's some kind of pain involved where we do go and get the trolley. But sometimes, even if it's not the best option, we'll still choose it because it's the path of least effort and it's the easiest path. It works with the least opposition of beliefs, values, decisions, and emotions. That's why when somebody can give you a fact and you're like, oh, no. Even though you know that it's factually true, you may have troubles moving your decisions to understand how that works. Like I said in previous videos, if you have a toothbrush and you start to understand that it needs to be called a teeth brush because it brushes your teeth, that feels a bit weird. So you're not going to start calling it a teeth brush. If a new idea clashes with something that's already old and deep within your unconscious mind, you're going to resist it. The biggest resistance we have at the moment are electric vehicles. A lot of people would rather avoid conflict than change. But in the next 10 to 15 years, as people evolve and change, we'll probably find that electric vehicles will just be called vehicles, and anything that is not an electric vehicle will then be called something else because they will become the rarity, just like vintage cars. It does not process negatives at all. So the unconscious mind skips over all these little words like don't or do. So, for example, don't think about chocolate. Guess what happens? You think about chocolate, even though you said don't do it. All it's going to do is the actionary part. So how does the model of therapy actually work when it comes to NLP? Well, this is exactly the system. First, we find out the old model of your world, what's going on. It's known as the structure of reality. Then we slowly break down that model, only in the pace or the processing speed that you can go through. Once we start to break down that old model, that's when change can come in. That's where we start to reframe and you make those better decisions. From there, we move into the checking part, where making sure that everything aligns with your ethics and morals, and it's not going to create any long-term hindrances. And from here, you then can go into the future and you can start working on that better model of yourself. Now, that future part becomes your old model of the world. And if you want to change it, we just start that system again, all the way from the top to the bottom, tweaking, changing, evolving, as life goes on. So thank you so much for joining me on subject number 8, responsibilities of the unconscious mind and model therapy. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.